The massive hall was quiet except for the soft hum of alien voices. Hyunwoo stood in the center of the room, surrounded by creatures that looked nothing like humans. Some had 6 arms, others had skin that changed colors, and a few floated in the air without any legs at all. This was the Galactic Federation Council, and today they were going to change everything. Hyunwoo wore a simple black suit. He looked calm, almost bored. His hands were behind his back, and he watched the alien leaders with dark eyes that missed nothing. He had been Earth's ambassador for 3 years, and everyone thought he was just a quiet diplomat who smiled a lot and never caused trouble. They were wrong. "Human," said the tall blue creature at the front of the room. Its name was impossible for human tongues to say, so everyone just called it Speaker. "We have decided. Your people have gone too far." Hyunwoo raised one eyebrow. "Too far? Your weapons are too strong. Your ships are too fast. Your people ask too many questions." The speaker's voice was like grinding metal. "The Federation has voted. Earth must give up all weapons and let us control your planet. You have 30 days. "And if we say no?" Hyunwoo asked. His voice was soft, but somehow it carried to every corner of the huge room. "Then we destroy you all." The alien leaders nodded and made sounds of agreement. There were 47 different species in the Federation, and they all had one thing in common now. They were afraid of humans. It had started small. Human traders asking too many questions about Federation technology. Human scientists wanting to study alien biology. Human explorers showing up in places they were not supposed to be. At first, the Federation thought it was just curiosity. Humans were new to space, after all. They would learn their place soon. Enough. But humans never learned their place. They just kept pushing, kept asking, kept exploring, and they were getting stronger every year. Hyunwoo smiled. It was not a nice smile. "I will tell my people what you have said. You understand what this means?" asked another alien, this one with crystal skin that sparkled in the light. "We have 10,000 ships. We have weapons that can destroy planets. We rule over 1,000,000 worlds." "I understand perfectly," Hyunwoo said. He turned to leave, then stopped. "Can I ask you something?" The speaker made a sound that meant yes. "How long have you been planning this?" "What? This war declaration? How long have you been thinking about it?" The alien leaders looked at each other. They had been meeting in secret for months, trying to decide what to do about the human problem. "Why does it matter?" the speaker asked. Hyunwoo's smile got wider. "Just curious. We like to keep track of these things." He walked out of the hall, and every alien in the room felt a chill they could not explain. On Earth, the news spread fast. The Federation had declared war. They wanted humans to surrender or die. Most people expected panic. They expected fear. They expected chaos. Instead, something very different happened. In the military bases around the world, soldiers looked at each other and grinned. They had been waiting for this day for a very long time. General Ji Hai was in her office when the message came through. She was a small woman with gray hair and scars on her hands from old battles. When she read the Federation's demands, she laughed. It was not a happy laugh. "Finally," she said to her assistant, "send the signal." Across the planet, hidden bunkers opened. Factories that had been making peaceful goods suddenly started making weapons. Ships that looked like cargo vessels revealed hidden weapons and armor. And in deep space, things that the Federation thought were just asteroids started to move. Admiral Taemin was on the bridge of his ship when the war declaration arrived. His crew watched him read the message, expecting him to look worried. Instead, he looked relieved. "How long until the fleet is ready?" he asked his second-in-command. "Sir, the fleet has been ready for 30 years. "Good. Send word to all ships. Operation Sleeping Dragon is now active. The Federation had made their first mistake. They thought they knew everything about humans. They thought Earth only had a few hundred ships and some basic weapons. They thought humans were still learning how to fight in space. They were very wrong. Captain Su Jin stood on the observation deck of her ship, looking out at the stars. Her ship looked like a normal cargo vessel from the outside, but inside it was packed with weapons the Federation had never seen. She had been waiting for this moment for 10 years. "Captain," said her communications officer, "we're getting messages from all over human space. Everyone wants to know what we should do." Su Jin smiled. "Tell them to follow the plan. The same plan we've been practicing for decades." "What plan?" "The one where we show these aliens what humans really are." All across Earth, people were not running away or hiding. They were getting ready. Factories worked day and night. Young people lined up to join the military. Scientists shared secrets they had been keeping for years. The Federation thought they were fighting primitive humans with simple weapons. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for this war for over 100 years. Every trade mission had been a spy mission. Every cultural exchange had been intelligence gathering. Every peaceful meeting had been a chance to study alien technology and find its weaknesses. And now the waiting was over. Dr. Yunji was in her secret laboratory, looking at alien technology that humans were not supposed to have. For 20 years, she had been studying Federation weapons and ships. She knew how they worked better than the aliens who built them. "Are you ready?" asked her assistant. "I've been ready since the day I started this job," she said. "The Federation is about to learn why you should never threaten a species that learns from everything." The message went out to every human in the galaxy. The Federation had declared war. Earth's answer was simple. Bring it on. Hyunwoo's ship left the Federation capital and headed home. He sat in his cabin writing his report, but he was not writing about the war declaration. He was writing about how the aliens had reacted when he smiled. Fear. Pure, simple fear. They were right to be afraid. They just did not know why yet. Earth had been waiting for this war, and now it was time to show the galaxy what happened when you picked a fight with humanity. The Federation leaders were feeling good about themselves. They had given the humans 30 days to surrender, and they were sure it would not take that long. Humans were weak, they told themselves. Humans were new to space. How hard could it be? Admiral Zixthul was in charge of the Federation fleet. He was a proud creature with purple skin and 4 arms, each one strong enough to crush steel. His people had been warriors for 1,000 years, and he had never lost a battle. How many ships do the humans have? He asked his intelligence officer. Our spies report maybe 300 ships, sir. All of them are small and weak. They have no real weapons. Zixthul laughed. His voice sounded like rocks falling down a mountain. 300 ships? I have 10,000. This will be over before it begins. He was wrong about the number of ships. He was wrong about their size. He was wrong about their weapons. He was wrong about everything. But the humans had worked very hard to make sure he was wrong. Far from Earth, in a place the Federation thought was empty space, Commander Min Ho sat in his control room. Around him, his crew was busy at work. They were humans, but they looked different. Stronger, faster. Their eyes glowed softly in the dark. "Sir," said his second in command, "we're getting the signal from Earth." Min Ho smiled. He had been waiting for this moment for 15 years. "Activate all stations. It's time to wake up." What happened next would have shocked the Federation if they had been watching. Across the solar system, things that looked like asteroids began to change. Metal surfaces appeared where there had been rock. Weapons emerged from hidden panels. Ships that had been sleeping for decades came to life. The Federation had thought this solar system was empty. It was not empty. It was full of humans who had been very quiet for a very long time. Back on Earth, Dr. Yoon-ji was working in her laboratory. She was a small woman with quick hands and bright eyes. For 20 years, she had been studying alien technology in secret. The Federation thought humans were too primitive to understand their science. They were wrong about that, too. "Show me the new armor," she told her assistant. The man brought out a suit that looked like normal human military gear. But when Dr. Yunji touched a control, it changed. The metal became harder than diamond. The helmet filled with information that no human eye should be able to process. The gloves gave the wearer strength that could bend steel. "How did we make it so fast?" the assistant asked. Dr. Yunji smiled. "We didn't make it fast. We've been making it for 30 years. Every piece of Federation technology we could get our hands on, we studied it, improved it, and made it better." The Federation had another problem they didn't know about. For decades, they had been happy to trade with humans. Human art, human music, human food. The aliens loved these things. What they didn't know was that hidden in every trade ship, every cultural exchange, every diplomatic mission, there were humans whose real job was to learn Federation secrets. Colonel Dongwook was one of these humans. He looked like a normal trade representative, but he was really a soldier. For 10 years, he had been traveling through Federation space, mapping their military bases, studying their weapons, and learning how their ships worked. "How many Federation spy stations have we found?" he asked his team. "All of them, sir," replied one of his soldiers. "Turns out they weren't very good at hiding. And how many of their spies do we have under watch?" "Every single one. They think they're spying on us, but really we're feeding them exactly what we want them to know." The Federation thought they knew everything about human military strength. They had spies watching Earth's military bases. They had been counting human ships for years. They had reports on human weapons and technology. But every single piece of information was a lie. The humans had been very careful to show the Federation exactly what they wanted them to see. Weak ships, simple weapons, small armies. The truth was very different. Fleet Admiral Young Su stood on the bridge of his flagship. The ship looked normal from the outside, but inside it was full of technology that would make Federation scientists weep. The humans had not. Just copied alien technology. They had made it better. "Admiral," said his communications officer, "we're getting reports from all sectors. Operation Sleeping Dragon is fully active." Young Su nodded. "What's our fleet strength?" 22,000 ships, sir. All equipped with stealth technology. The Federation still thinks we only have 300. And our allies? The colonies are reporting ready. Proxima Base has 1,500 ships. Alpha Centauri has 800. And the deep space stations are all coming online. Young Su smiled. The Federation thought humans only lived on Earth. They had no idea that for the past 50 years, humans had been quietly building colonies and systems the Federation had marked as empty. Not because the humans were hiding, but because the Federation had never bothered to look very carefully. Meanwhile, on the Federation homeworld, Admiral Zixthul was getting ready for the easiest victory of his career. His fleet was massive. His weapons were powerful. His soldiers were trained warriors who had conquered a dozen worlds. "Sir," said his aide, "we've lost contact with our spy network in human space." Zixthul waved one of his 4 hands. "Probably just equipment problems. Humans are too primitive to find our spies." "Sir, we're also not getting any responses from our monitoring stations." "Same problem. Don't worry about it." But it was not equipment problems. Every Federation spy had been quietly captured. Every monitoring station had been taken over. The humans had been watching the Watchers for years, and now they were ready to move. Lieutenant Haiwan was part of a special human unit that the Federation would never see coming. She and her team had been modified with alien technology that the humans had stolen and improved. They were faster than any natural human, stronger than most aliens. And they could see in the dark, breathe in space, and fight for days without getting tired. "Are we ready?" asked her team leader. "We've been ready for 5 years," Haiwan replied. "The Federation is about to learn what happens when humans stop. pretending to be weak. The 30-day deadline was still 3 weeks away, but the humans were not waiting. All across the galaxy, Federation outposts began to go dark. Ships disappeared. Communications were cut. And no one could figure out why. The Federation leaders began to worry. Maybe the humans were stronger than they thought. Maybe this war would not be as easy as they had hoped. They were right to worry. But they still had no idea what was really coming for them. Captain G1 was in charge of something the Federation could never have imagined, a psychological warfare unit that had spent 15 years studying every Federation species. They knew what each alien race feared most. They knew how to break their spirits without firing a shot. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. Across Federation space, strange things began to happen. Alien commanders received gifts that seemed innocent but triggered deep fears they had forgotten they had. Propaganda appeared that was so perfectly designed for each species that it seemed like magic. And everywhere, there were rumors of humans who could do impossible things. The rumors were not rumors. They were true. Engineer Kyung-soo was working on captured Federation ships, taking them apart and putting them back together better than they had been before. In 6 months, he had improved Federation technology more than the Federation had improved it in 6 centuries. "How is this possible?" asked a captured Federation engineer who was helping him. "Because you stopped trying to make things better," Kyung-soo said. "You got comfortable. Humans never get comfortable." The Federation was about to learn that declaring war on humanity was the biggest mistake they had ever made. But first, they had to survive long enough to learn it, and that was becoming less likely every day. The Federation's first real battle with humans did not go the way they expected. Admiral Zixthul brought his fleet to the edge of Earth's solar system, expecting to find a few scared humans with simple weapons. Instead, he found Fleet Admiral Young-soo waiting for him with 20,000 ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. "This is impossible," Zixthul said, staring at his tactical display. "Our intelligence said they only had 300 ships." "Sir," said his communications officer, "the human admiral is trying to talk to us." Young-soo's face appeared on the screen. He was a calm-looking man with gray hair and tired eyes. He looked like someone's grandfather, not a military commander, but when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of someone who had never lost. "Admiral Zixthul," Young-soo said politely, "I'm afraid your intelligence was wrong. Would you like to surrender now, or should we show you how wrong it was?" Zixthul's purple skin turned darker with anger. "You think you can threaten the Federation? Attack!" What happened next was not really a battle, it was a lesson. The human ships moved in ways that Federation vessels could not match. They were faster, more agile, and their weapons hit harder than anything the Federation had ever seen. But worse than that, they seemed to know exactly what the Federation ships were going to do before they did it. "They're predicting our movements perfectly," reported the Federation tactical officer. "It's like they know our battle plans better than we do." They did know the battle plans better. Colonel Dong-wook's intelligence teams had been studying Federation military tactics for decades. Every strategy, every formation, every trick the Federation used had been analyzed, studied, and countered. But the real shock came when the human boarding parties attacked. Lieutenant Haiwan led her team onto a Federation battleship. The aliens were ready for them. They had weapons, armor, and the advantage of fighting on their own ship. They were confident they could handle a few humans. They lasted exactly 4 minutes. Haiwan and her team moved through the ship like ghosts. Their enhanced reflexes let them dodge weapons fire that should have been impossible to avoid. Their improved strength let them tear through alien armor like paper, and their modified senses let them see in the dark and hear through walls. "What are you?" gasped a wounded Federation soldier as Haiwan stood over him. "We're what happens when humans stop holding back," she replied. The Federation crew surrendered. The entire ship, captured in less than 10 minutes. This scene played out across the battle. Federation ships that had never been boarded before were taken by human teams that fought like they were not quite human anymore, which was true. The aliens had no idea that humans had been improving themselves with captured Federation technology for years. Back on the Federation homeworld, the leaders were in panic. "How are they doing this?" demanded the speaker. "Our ships are the best in the galaxy." "Sir," said the intelligence officer, "we're getting reports from all fronts. The humans aren't just fighting us, they're hunting us." It was true. This was not a war in any normal sense. The humans were not trying to hold territory or capture resources. They were systematically hunting down every Federation military unit and destroying it with surgical precision. Captain Jiwan's psychological warfare teams were making it worse. They had studied each Federation species for years, learning their fears, their weaknesses, their cultural pressure points. Now, they were using that knowledge like a weapon. The Velkari were proud warriors who feared nothing except being laughed at. So human forces began sending them recordings of human children giggling every time they won a battle. The Zephyrians were a hive mind that worked together perfectly. So the humans sent them messages that made each part of the hive mind doubt the others. The crystalline collective was logical and rational. So the humans sent them proof that their war against Earth was mathematically impossible to win. "They know us better than we know ourselves," whispered one Federation commander as his crew abandoned their posts in terror. Engineer Kyung-soo was having the time of his life. Every Federation ship the humans captured gave him new technology to study and improve. He was reverse engineering alien science faster than the aliens had developed it in the first place. "Look at this," he said to his team, holding up a Federation weapon. "They think this is advanced. Watch what happens when we actually make it work properly." He pressed a button, and the weapon's power output doubled, then tripled, then increased by a factor of 10. "How?" asked one of his engineers. "They built it to be safe," Kyung-soo explained. "We built it to win." The human ships were getting stronger every day as they captured more Federation technology and made it better. Federation commanders began to realize they were not just losing the war. They were losing it to their own weapons, improved by humans, and turned against them. Major So Young was in charge of the most devastating weapon the humans had, their computer specialists. The Federation had built their entire civilization around a massive communications network that connected all their worlds. They thought it was secure. They were wrong. "We're in," So Young reported to her commanders. "We have complete access to their network." "What can you do with it?" "Everything. We can read their messages, change their orders, make their ships think their friends are enemies, and turn their own defense systems against them." And that's exactly what they did. Federation fleets began attacking each other because their computers told them to. Defense platforms on Federation worlds started shooting at Federation ships. Supply convoys got lost because their navigation systems were reprogrammed. The Federation military was not just being defeated, it was being turned against. Itself, Fleet Commander Jae-hyun was leading the attack on the Federation's most important military base. It was supposed to be impossible to attack because it was too far away and too well defended. But Jae-hyun's ships had something the Federation did not know about: faster-than-light communication that was instant across any distance. This meant human forces could coordinate attacks across the entire galaxy at the same time. "All units, this is Jae-hyun," he broadcast to human forces scattered across dozens of star systems. "Operation Thunderstrike begins now." At exactly the same moment, human forces attacked 17 different Federation strongholds. The Federation commanders could not understand how the humans were coordinating attacks across such vast distances with perfect timing. The secret was simple. While the Federation was still using technology that took hours or days to send messages across space, humans had developed communication that worked instantly, no matter how far apart they were. The Federation began to break apart. Their commanders could not talk to each other fast enough to coordinate a defense. Their ships were being captured and turned against them. Their own technology was working better in human hands than it ever had for them. And through it all, The humans kept learning. Every captured Federation database gave them more information. Every defeated Federation species taught them new techniques. Every victory made them stronger. Dr. Subin was analyzing the data from captured Federation computers. What she found made her smile. "They've been keeping records," she told her team. "Records of every other species they've conquered, every other civilization they've destroyed. What does that tell us? It tells us exactly how they fight. And more importantly, it tells us how to beat them using the knowledge of every civilization they've ever defeated." The Federation had made their greatest mistake. They had not just declared war on humanity, they had declared war on a species that learned from every enemy, adapted to every challenge, and never forgot a lesson. And the humans were just getting started. The Federation Council met in emergency session. Half their fleets were destroyed. Their most important military bases were in human hands, and they still had no idea how any of it was possible. "Demand answers from the human prisoners," ordered the Speaker. "Find out how they became so strong so quickly." The interrogation room was cold and white. 3 Federation officials sat across from Dr. Subin, who had been captured during a raid on a Federation research station. They expected her to be afraid. Instead, she looked almost happy to be there. "How did your people advance so quickly?" demanded the lead interrogator, a tall alien with silver skin and too many eyes. Dr. Subin smiled. "Which time?" "What do you mean, which time?" "I mean, which time someone asked us that question. You're not the first galactic power to threaten Earth, you know." The aliens looked at each other, confused. "Explain." Dr. Subin leaned back in her chair like she was telling a story to children. 3,000 years ago, the Mordan Empire decided humans were dangerous. They had ships that could destroy planets and warriors that had never been defeated. Sound familiar? The Mordan Empire? They've been extinct for thousands of years. Exactly. They tried to conquer Earth. We studied them, learned from them, and when we were done, we had their ships, their weapons, and their knowledge. But they were gone. The interrogators felt a chill that had nothing to do with the cold room. 2,000 years ago, the Zephyrian Collective decided we were a threat. They had mind control technology and could make entire species obey them. Very impressive. What happened to them? Same thing. We learned how their technology worked, improved it, and added it to our collection. The Zephyrians? Also extinct. And the third time? Dr. Subin's smile got wider. 1,000 years ago, the ethereal dominion thought humans needed to be eliminated. They could manipulate time and space, appear anywhere instantly, and their weapons could hit targets before they were fired. Let me guess. They're extinct. 2. You're learning. Each time someone tried to conquer us, we studied them until we understood everything about them. Then we took their best technology, made it better, and added it to our own. Every galactic power that has ever threatened humanity has become part of humanity's strength. The lead interrogator was quiet for a long time. Finally, he asked, "How long have you been preparing to fight us specifically?" "Oh, about 80 years. Ever since we first made contact with the Federation, we've been studying you. Every trade mission, every cultural exchange, every diplomatic meeting. We know how your ships work, how your weapons function, how your different species think and fight. We know you better than you know yourselves." In another part of the Federation capital, General Wu Jin was being questioned by different officials. He was a big man with scars on his face and hands that looked like they could crush steel. The Federation interrogators were trying to look tough, but they seemed small next to him. "Your forces are impossibly well coordinated," said one interrogator. "How do you communicate across such vast distances so quickly?" "Trade secret," Wu Jin said cheerfully. "Our intelligence indicates you should not have been able to coordinate simultaneous attacks across 17 different star systems. Your intelligence was wrong about a lot of things." "How long have you been planning this war?" Wu Jin thought about it. "Well, we started the basic preparations about 200 years ago. the specific plans for fighting the Federation began about 80 years ago. The final preparations were completed about 30 years ago. 30 years ago? But we only declared war 3 months ago. Yeah, you were kind of slow about it. We expected you to declare war on us about 50 years ago. We had to keep making you more worried about human expansion until you finally did something about it. The interrogator stared at him. Are you saying you wanted us to declare war? Of course. How else were we going to test all our new toys? Peaceful contact is nice, but war is where you really learn about someone. Back on Earth, the human leadership was meeting to discuss the next phase of their plans. Fleet Admiral Young-Soo, General Ji-Hai, and Dr. Yoon-ji sat around a table covered with star charts and tactical displays. Status report, said Admiral Young-Soo. 70% of Federation military forces are destroyed or captured, reported General Ji-Hai. Their remaining forces are scattered and unable to coordinate effectively. What about their civilian populations? No civilian targets have been attacked. We're maintaining our policy of minimal collateral damage. This war is against the Federation, military and government, not against the people they rule. Dr. Yoon-ji brought up a holographic display showing Federation technology. We've captured enough of their technology to complete the integration process. Their weapons, their ships, their computers. We understand all of it now, and we've improved most of it. Improved how much? On average, about 300% efficiency increase. Their technology was designed to be safe and reliable. Ours is designed to win wars. Admiral Young-Soo nodded. And the timeline? We estimate complete Federation military collapse within 6 months. After that, we can begin the integration process for the species that want to join us voluntarily. Captain Bo Ram was commanding, a captured Federation dreadnought that had been upgraded with human technology. Her crew was a mix of humans and Federation aliens who had surrendered and asked to fight alongside the humans. Captain, said her Federation tactical officer, a being with blue fur and large eyes. Why are humans so much better at using our technology than we are? Bo Ram considered the question. Because you built your technology to maintain your civilization. We rebuilt it to protect ours. When your goal is survival, you tend to make things work better. But how did humans advance so quickly? My people have been spacefaring for 5,000 years. And in those 5,000 years, did you ever face an enemy that could destroy you completely? Well, no. The Federation has always been the strongest power in the galaxy. That's your problem. Humans have been facing enemies that could destroy us completely for our entire history. Every time we survive, we get stronger. Every time we win, we learn something new. Every time someone tries to kill us all, we make sure we're ready for the next time. The Federation officer was quiet for a moment. Is that why humans are so intense? Bo Ram laughed. You should see us when we're actually trying. This is us being careful. In the ruins of a Federation research station, Engineer Kyung-soo was examining artifacts that the Federation had collected from ancient civilizations. What he found made him call his superiors immediately. Sir, you need to see this. The Federation has been collecting technology from extinct civilizations for thousands of years, and I recognize some of these designs. From where? From Earth. These are human designs from the civilizations that tried to conquer us, the Morden Empire, the Zephyrian Collective, the Ethereal Dominion. The Federation has been collecting their technology, but they never understood what they had. What does that mean? It means the Federation has been carrying around the collected knowledge of every civilization that ever tried to destroy humanity. And now that knowledge is coming home. The final piece of the puzzle was falling into place. The Federation had not just declared war on humanity. They had declared war on a species that had spent thousands of years learning from every enemy that had ever threatened them. And they had done it while carrying the technological legacy of all those defeated enemies in their own museums and research stations. The humans were not just winning the war, They were reclaiming their inheritance. Admiral Zixthal, commander of what remained of the Federation fleet, sat in his command chair and stared at the tactical display. His mighty armada was reduced to a few hundred ships. His proud warriors were either dead, captured, or asking to surrender. "Sir," said his communications officer, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." "Put it through." Admiral Young Su appeared on the screen, looking exactly as calm as he had at the beginning of the war. "Admiral Zixthal, I believe it's time we discussed terms." "Terms?" "For your surrender. This war is over. The question now is what happens next." Zixthal looked at his few remaining ships, then at the massive human fleet surrounding him. "What kind of terms?" "The same terms we offered the Mordan Empire, the Zephyrian Collective, and the Ethereal Dominion. Join us willingly and help us prepare for the next threat, because there's always a next threat." "And if we refuse?" Young Su's expression did not change. "Then you join the list of extinct civilizations that learned too late what happens when you declare war on humanity." The choice was simple. Surrender and survive, or fight and disappear forever. The Federation was about to learn the final lesson. When you threaten humanity, you do not just face Earth. You face the accumulated wisdom and strength of every civilization that ever tried to destroy them and failed, and that was a fight no one had ever won. The war ended not with a great battle, but with a simple choice. Admiral Zixthal looked at the few hundred ships that remained of his once mighty fleet. Around him, 20,000 human vessels waited patiently. They could have destroyed the Federation forces in minutes, but they were just waiting. "What are your terms?" he asked Admiral Young Su. "Simple," the human replied. "Surrender now and help us prepare for the next threat that comes to this galaxy, or fight us and join the long list of extinct civilizations that thought they could conquer humanity." Zixthal had seen what happened to civilizations that fought humans to the end. Complete destruction, with their technology and knowledge absorbed into humanity's ever-growing collection. But he had also seen what happened to those who surrendered. "What about the species that joined you willingly?" he asked. Young Su smiled. "Ask them yourself." The communication channel opened, and Zixthal found himself talking to commanders from a dozen different species. Aliens who had surrendered to humanity months ago and were now fighting alongside human forces. "It's not what we expected," said a blue-furred commander who had once fought against humanity. "Humans don't rule through fear. They teach, they share, they make us all stronger." "But surely you're just slaves." "Look at my ship," the alien commander said, and the tactical display showed his vessel. It was a Federation design, but improved beyond anything the Federation had ever built. "This ship is twice as fast as it was before, with weapons 3 times more powerful. The humans didn't just capture our technology, they made it better and gave it back to us." Admiral Zixthal was confused. "Why?" "Because," said Admiral Young Su, "the next threat that comes to this galaxy won't be interested in ruling anyone. They'll want to destroy everyone. When that happens, we all need to be as strong as possible." The choice was made. Admiral Zixthal ordered his remaining ships to surrender. The Federation war was over. Now came the harder part: building something better. Administrator Hai Jin was put in charge of helping former Federation worlds transition to the new galactic order. She was a patient woman who spoke 17 different alien languages and understood 43 different forms of government. "What happens to our independence?" asked the leader of a former Federation world during one of many meetings. "You keep it," Hai Jin replied. "Humans don't want to rule your world. We want to make sure your world can defend itself when the next galactic threat appears." "What next threat?" Hai Jin brought up a holographic display showing the galaxy. "Every few thousand years, something appears that tries to conquer or destroy everyone. The Devourers, the Reality Eaters, the Entropy Machines. We've faced them before. We'll face them again. The only question is whether we'll be ready. And humans can protect us from these threats. Humans can teach you to protect yourselves from these threats. There's a difference. This was the pattern that emerged across the former Federation. Humans did not conquer worlds. They did not install governors or demand tribute. Instead, they offered something no galactic power had ever offered. Before genuine partnership, Director Sung Ho ran the technology sharing program. His job was to take human improvements to alien technology and share them with anyone who wanted them. The results were remarkable. "How is this possible?" asked a Federation scientist, looking at his improved research equipment. "This scanner is 10 times more sensitive than the original design." "Humans look at technology differently," Sung Ho explained. "You built this scanner to work safely within normal parameters. We rebuilt it to work perfectly under the worst possible conditions." "But why share these improvements with us?" "Because the next time someone threatens this galaxy, we want you to be strong enough to help defend it." The transformation happened quickly. Worlds that had been part of the Federation for centuries suddenly found their technology advancing faster than it had in millennia. Their ships became faster and stronger, their weapons became more effective, their defenses became nearly impenetrable. But the biggest change was in how the different species related to each other. Ambassador In Young stood before the reformed Galactic Council. Instead of 47 species ruled by fear and bureaucracy, there were now hundreds of species working together by choice. "The old Federation was based on control," she said to the assembled delegates. "The new alliance is based on mutual protection. Every species here is free to leave at any time. But every species that stays makes all of us stronger." "What if we don't want to fight in your wars?" asked one delegate. "Then you don't fight. But you do contribute what you can. Maybe it's technology. Maybe it's resources. Maybe it's just early warning when threats appear. Everyone contributes what they're best at. And if we can't contribute anything," In Young smiled, "everyone can contribute something. We just have to figure out what that is." This was perhaps the most shocking thing about human rule. They genuinely believed that every species, no matter how weak or primitive, had something valuable to offer. They spent time learning what each species was good at, then found ways to use those strengths to benefit everyone. Fleet Admiral Byung-woo was in charge of the new Galactic Defense Force. Unlike the old Federation military, which existed to enforce obedience, the new force existed solely to protect against external threats. "How many ships do we have now?" he asked his aide. 50,000 combat vessels, sir. All of them crewed by volunteers from dozens of different species, and all of them equipped with the best technology from every member species. Training status? Excellent, sir. Turns out aliens learn very quickly when they're taught by humans who actually want them to succeed. The old Federation military had been designed to maintain order. The new Alliance military was designed to win wars against impossible odds. The difference in effectiveness was startling. Captain Su Jin commanded one of the new multi-species ships. Her crew included humans, former Federation species, and several groups that had never been part of any galactic government before. "Captain," said her crystalline tactical officer, "I'm still confused about something." "What's that?" "Why do humans trust us so completely? We were your enemies just months ago." Su Jin thought about the question. "Because holding grudges is inefficient. You declared war on us because you were afraid of us. Now you know you don't need to be afraid. We know you won't try to destroy us again. So why waste time and energy staying enemies when we could be allies?" It seems too simple. Most good ideas are simple. It's implementing them that's complicated. The galaxy began to change in ways no one had expected. Trade increased as former enemies became partners. Scientific advancement accelerated as different species shared knowledge freely. Exploration expanded as joint missions reached further into unknown space than any single species had ever gone. But, perhaps most importantly, the galaxy began to prepare. Dr. Subin was studying historical records from every species in the Alliance. Her job was to identify patterns in galactic threats and predict when the next one might appear. "What have you found?" asked her research team. "The pattern is clear. Every 3,000 to 4,000 years, something appears that threatens all life in the galaxy. The Devourers consumed entire star systems. The Reality Eaters erased civilizations from existence. The entropy machines tried to accelerate the heat death of the universe. When is the next threat due? Based on the pattern, sometime in the next 500 years. And we're preparing for that?" Dr. Subin smiled. "We're not just preparing. We're going to be ready in a way the galaxy has never been ready before." For the first time in galactic history, every major species was working together. For the first time, they were sharing technology freely. For the first time, they were united not by fear, but by the desire to survive and thrive. Engineer Kyung-soo was working on the ultimate expression of this cooperation, ships that combined the best technology from every species in the Alliance. The result was vessels that would have seemed like magic to the old Federation. "How much more advanced are these ships?" asked his assistant. "Compared to Federation technology? About 1,000 times more effective in combat. But that's not the important part." "What's the important part?" "The important part is that every species in the Alliance knows how to build them. When the next threat comes, we won't just have human ships defending the galaxy. We'll have thousands of species, all equipped with the best technology we can create together." The galaxy settled into a new pattern. Peace through strength. Cooperation through mutual benefit. Advancement through shared knowledge. And always, preparation for the next threat. Fleet Admiral Young-soo stood on the observation deck of his ship, looking out at the stars. Beside him stood Admiral Zixthul, who now commanded a mixed fleet of human and alien vessels. "Do you think we'll be ready?" Zixthul asked. "We'll be more ready than any generation before us," Young-soo replied. "But the real question isn't whether we'll be ready. The real question is whether the next threat will be ready for us." "What do you mean?" Young-soo smiled. Every previous galactic threat faced a divided galaxy, separate species fighting alone, using their own limited technology, with no coordination or cooperation. And now,